Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is the last video of the Wyatt Erp costume. This will be making of the jacket. This is still using the same pattern as the pants and the vest. McCall's 8185 is the Willy Wonka generic costume. However, I did do a little alterations to it. Since the original pattern only goes down to knee length, I did extend it in the middle. That's why you see that big old cutout of the pattern to make sure it hits where I need to hit, which will be around ankle length. I did use coating felt to make this coat. I did get about 5 yards. However, I could have gone and gotten 6 since it wasn't quite enough to do what I needed to do, since I had to piece some of this together. The pattern for the jacket consists of 11 total pieces, and I actually added some pockets to it since the original pattern doesn't come with it, and some gores in the back to make it more flowy. So here I'm cutting out all the main jacket pieces, which is the upper front, lower front, back, side back, upper collar, upper sleeve, upper undersleeve, the cuff, front facing, front lining, and upper collar, and all the main body of the pieces. I am adding that gap to make it longer, except for on the upper front, since the front of the coat is actually 2 pieces, one upper front, one lower front. I just extended the lower front longer. And I did make the sleeves longer since my brother does have long arms. From my reference image, it looks like the coat is flowy in the back, so I am actually creating some gores that are going to go in between the center back and the side back seams, and at the top of those points there will be some buttons, and this is the pieces that I had to piece together. So it's actually going to be 2 triangles per side, so I need 4 triangles total. And I'm pinning those gussets together. And with the patterns cut out for the felting, I am now using a broadcloth to create the lining. And I'm just putting the lining in the front of the coat. I don't need it in the back. For the coat pockets that I need to add, I wanted them functional pockets. So here I am actually cutting out the flaps that go on the outside. And they are just simple rectangles that I have folded in half. For the actual pocket itself, I used some leftover suede fabric that I had from the vest, and I created a rectangle that was big enough to put a cell phone in. And since I need 2 pieces per pocket, I cut out 4 of these. To create the pocket flap, I folded my piece in half and sewed the 2 side seams, the small sides, and left the long side open. That way I could flip it right sides out. And then I gave them a good press. I also do top stitch these flaps just to give them a cleaner look. And after adding the dart to the upper front like the instructions say, I go ahead and take that pocket flap and add it to the upper front. I also adding 1 piece of the inside pocket to that upper front as well, making sure to match it up with the flap. And then taking the bottom front, I go ahead and match the other piece of the inside pocket to that, matching it up to the front so everything will align, and then I will sew that all together. And now we have fully functioning pockets in the front of the coat with a little flap. And here I'm just following the instructions on the pattern. I'm stay stitching and clipping corners according to the notches and adding any markings from the pattern. For the lining, the instructions say to create a dart in the front of the coat, since it is 1 piece instead of 2 pieces like the front of the coat. Here I'm creating that dart. And then I will go ahead and stitch the side front and the front of the coat lining together. Since this coat will not have a back lining, I don't have to worry about that. And the lining is done, and I'll set that aside. Taking 2 of those triangles that I cut out for the gussets, I will sew those together to create a big triangle. And I will take the bottom of the side back and I will match those up with the triangles and sew that on. This will go all the way up to about the waistline in the back of the coat. And adding those triangles or the gussets to the bottom of the coat will create my flowiness in the back. And since the back is actually 2 pieces, I do sew that completely up in the middle of the back. The original pattern says to leave a flap open, but I did not do that. And the back is done. And once sewing up the side front and the front together, I go ahead and sew that to the back along the shoulder seams. Now the collar. Taking one of the pieces, I go ahead and sew it onto the neckline of the outer coat, matching up the middle of the collar to the middle of the back. And now I stitch up the side seams. The sleeves of this coat is 2 pieces, just like the shirt sleeves were. And all you do is you take the upper sleeve and the under sleeve and stitch those together. And I do the same thing to the lining. The top of the sleeve is gathered a little bit, so here I'm marking it out to where I need to do a running stitch to gather it. And then I will go ahead and take those and attach that to the coat. And here we have a nice sleeve. Now taking the second collar piece, I go ahead and attach it to the collar of the main coat, and this will hide the raw edge of the collar once it's flipped right side out. And I do top stitch this as well to keep everything in place. And with the coat pretty much done, I go ahead and attach the sleeve lining to the sleeve along the cuff. And pull the lining back through to the inside, and I will stitch that down to the seam of the sleeve and the coat. What I should have done, and if I ever make this coat again, is keep the sleeve separate, attach the lining to it, and then make it all one at the top of the sleeve, and then just sewed it back on the coat in one piece. But since I have a serger, I do serge all these edges, so it does still give it a clean look. Now to attach the front lining, I just match up those edges and I sew it along the seam. And then I will flip that right sides out, and I will actually stitch the lining to the back of the coat seam, so right before the gussets. To cover the raw edge of the collar where it meets the actual main coat, I go ahead and flip the outer piece under itself, and then I will hand stitch that down. After making sure the lining and the coat are flat against each other, I go ahead and pin those together, and I will cut off the excess and make it all even. To hem the bottom, I go ahead and stitch the lining and the felt together, wrong sides to wrong sides, and then I will take some bias tape and cover those raw edges with that. And to finish the coat, I will add some fabric covered buttons to the front and to the back above the gussets, and then some black pearl buttons to the sleeves, and the costume will be complete. The costume came out really well considering I had a week to do this in, and then I had to ship it to Oregon, so the coat being heavy and made out of felt worked really well during the winter time up there since it's cold. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time. Bye.